Hello, Jim Munchback here at Family Wealth Builder of Houston. I want to welcome you to this week's webinar. We're starting off with an introduction to the top 10 tax tips. That's a tongue twister. The top 10 tax tips the top 10 tax-free investing tips for women. So we're going to do these weekly webinars, if I can talk. We're going to do these weekly webinars. In the first series that we're going to do is going to be on tax-free investing. So let's get it started. This is the first installment of several weekly webinars. So this is kind of the introductory webinar. I want to go over a few important details, including how you can keep up with the webinar with the webinar. It's kind of a training series. So the first thing I want to say is if you go to the website, we set up just a link. It's not really a website. It's just a redirect link at taxfreebinar.com. Tax-free-binar, get it? Tax-free webinar. It was available, so for $8.99, I purchased it from GoDaddy. So that is where you can go, and it'll take you to the registration page for the weekly webinar. So let's get started. I'll cover some important details if I can. So the first thing I already mentioned is the where you can go. I am Jim Munchback, and I am a certified financial planner. I'm not a CPA. I wish I was, but I am a CFP professional, a certified financial planner, and I was born on tax day, April 15th. My first son was actually born on December 31st, which means I got a huge tax deduction without him ever coming home. My second son was born on October 15th, which is the day of filing business income tax returns. I love working with CPAs, primarily because I really appreciate good tax advice because it saves money. And the number one most requested topic I get as a professor of personal finance is taxes. So that's why we're focusing on these in these weekly webinars. We're going to focus on the top 10 tax tips, smarter strategies for better results. And we are focusing on women. You can register at FamilyWealthBuilder.com. I set up the page. Also, we have 2 Facebook pages, which we will be posting these live. We have 2 Facebook groups, also one for advisors and one for investors. So if you're an advisor, go to Wealth Advisor Career. And the same is true on YouTube. If you're an investor, go to Millionaire Habits. And you'll find us on YouTube and Facebook, just Millionaire Habits. Or if you're an advisor, Wealth Advisor Career. We're also going to be starting some monthly meetups. This is my brother, Ed. He gave me this idea. Ed did not go to college, and you can see he loves to cook. He's a great guy, and that was his favorite Christmas gift. But Ed did not go to college. Instead, he started a company in Lansing, Michigan called Lansing Flooring Supplies. So Ed he's a great guy. One of the things he did with his company is he had these Friday hot dog days, and he just gathered his customers together and fed them hot dogs. I'm going to do smoked ribs because I know how to do smoked ribs. And if you don't like ribs, we'll go with filet mignon. The first meetup is going to be at my house, and then we're going to invite friends and family, and if you register for one of these workshops, you'll get an invitation as well. I want to share a little bit about the tools we're going to be using. I've written 3 books. Make Your Money Count is one of them, and it outlines the principles and the process that we use at my company for financial life planning. So Make Your Money Count will be a big part of these webinars. My first book was written for financial advisors, What Matters Most. If you're an advisor, this teaches you step by step how to use the blueprint, which is part of each of my books. It's the tool that we use. And then my most recent book is Allied for Success, and it's for certified financial planners and CPAs who want to work together to provide better service for their customers. And again, the Blueprint for Financial Success is the main training tool, as well as our signature service for families. So I'm Jim Munchback, and I'll be your host. I'll be your guide. Tax-free investing for women. Here's the top 10, the things that we'll be going over the next several weeks. And again, this is a webinar series that's really specifically designed for women, professional women, if you're retiring, or if you're single or divorced, if you're an active woman, a purpose-driven woman, or a family-focused woman. Top 10 tips for tax-free investing in 2019. So I'm going to show you 10 ways to mitigate your 2019 tax bill. Tax tip number 10, really these are backwards in terms of priority. I would say this should be number 1. And it's basically how to build a plan on purpose based on what matters most. Number 9 is a fiduciary fee review. You may be surprised at how much you're paying in terms of investment fees and advisory fees and hidden fees. There's so many hidden fees in this business. And one of the things I like to point out is that some of your fees are tax deductible. Number 8, just a good old-fashioned plan review. I call it a gap analysis. And so, number 7, advanced tax strategies. This will be it will take much more than 1 week. We'll go over some advanced tax strategies, including the 1031 exchange, cost segregation, accelerated depreciation, and many, many more. And if you're a big winner in the stock market, there are a couple of strategies I'd like to tell you about. We'll do that in the weeks ahead. Number 6, that should be muni bonds versus corporate bonds. I'm going to help you understand annuities and life insurance and help you beware of falling for one of those salespeople. Number 5, this one is near and dear to my heart. It's all about advisor coordination. So there's a big difference between a good plan and a well-coordinated plan. And my last book was really focused on helping people put together a team. Most of your advisors typically don't work together. Your CPA doesn't talk to your family attorney. Your family attorney hardly ever talks to your insurance guy, if he knows who he is or she is. Your insurance guy doesn't talk to your investment guy, and what I found is your investment guy is typically talking to himself. So number 4 is the idea of CFP, CPA team, wise counsel. CFP, you probably think of a certified financial planner as a planning professional, and you think of your CPA as tax advice. So we're going to focus on that. Top tip number 3 is setting up your home office. It's incredible what you might be losing out on if you don't have a little outside business in your home. Number 2, fund your IRA. There are 2 kinds of IRAs, basically, a tax deductible and a tax-free Roth IRA. So we'll spend at least a week, probably more. Let me know, which one do you want to talk about first? Number 1, this is always my favorite, the perfect investment. There's so many reasons to invest in your company qualified plan. And so that's what this is, your 401k and how to take advantage of your 401k. If you don't have one, how to set one up. So that's what's coming. If you want to set up your own personal consultation, I set up a link for that, cfpconsult.com. So that's where we're going. That's what we're going to be working on over the next several weeks. Again, I appreciate you tuning in and registering for this week 1 webinar. This is just an introduction. I hope you'll consider sharing this with some friends. I've had a very busy few weeks. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that my dad passed a few weeks ago. And so I took a trip to Michigan, and just a couple weeks before that, one of my dearest friends, my Uncle Hank, passed in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And so I got to spend last week in Louisville helping move the family. Anyway, so I've been very busy, out of the office a lot. And even a couple weeks before we buried Hank, my Aunt Doris passed. So we've had 3 funerals this year, my family has, which is very, we celebrated each of those individuals in a different way. And there was obviously lots of mourning, crying, weeping, comforting, but it's just amazing what a gift family is. So, these webinars are initially they'll be about tax tips and how to save on your taxes. But as you saw, tax tip number 10 is really about having a plan. And so that will be a predominant theme throughout the webinars. I'm going to promise not to try to sell you anything except maybe some books, some tools that I think will help you along the way. At Family Wealth Builder, we believe every family deserves a quality financial plan. And every plan starts with the blueprint. And so each of my books outlines this training tool that I call a blueprint for financial success. I don't have one handy or I'd show it to you, but you'll see it. It's an actual blueprint, and it is a tool that will help guide you through the financial planning process. If you're an advisor, it will guide you through how to provide this higher level of service for your clients. I was in a meeting yesterday, a Vistage meeting. Houston had their Vistage Executive Summit. It was very cool. I got to meet some incredible people, mostly business owners. I focus on family business, so there's a family business network at Vistage. Some incredible people who own family businesses and run family businesses. And I was in a meeting, a group, and we did this breakout, and we went around the room, and each time we shuffled around, the goal was to everybody get to meet each other and share some ideas. And so each time we did that, we introduced ourselves. And as I sat in that meeting introducing myself as a wealth advisor, one of the topics that comes up on a regular basis with family-owned business is succession planning. And succession planning is one of those technical things. It can be very technical because it involves a lot of estate planning, tax law. There's a lot of technical things that go into financial planning, especially when you have a lot of resources. And so in this meeting, it was kind of interesting because we took the time to go around and talk about what we did and what we saw as challenges and so on. And I got to share a little bit about my vision for succession planning for families and how I believe that the focus should start with vision, values, and purpose. And the technical stuff will just fall into place if you have a good team of advisors working with you who understand what matters most. And so you saw the books that I've written. The first book I wrote was titled What Matters Most. And the blueprint is based on 3 sections. The first section is the foundation. The next section is the framing. The third section is the finish work. And so when it comes to financial planning, the most important element is the foundation. And the foundation of a good financial plan is your purpose. It's your values. It's what is your vision for your life? What matters most about life to you? And so by understanding that and clarifying your values and your vision and your purpose, when you start there, you always end up with a better plan. So our tagline is smarter strategies and better results. And at Vistage, I do a talk called, I haven't actually done the talk yet. I do my first one in July, so pray for me. But the name of the talk is The Ultimate Blueprint for Better Decisions. And so I've been thinking about what is that really, how would you say, if you describe the ultimate blueprint for better decisions, what would that look like? And clearly what I believe is that when you clarify what matters most and you start there, you're going to make better decisions. And most big decisions involve money. So the tool, the blueprint for financial success, it's really just a coaching tool for an advisor to get to know what matters most, thus the name of the book, What Matters Most, to the client. Because when I know what matters most to you, I can do a much better job of orchestrating all of the pieces and the scope and sequence of building your financial plan. And that's the role of a financial planner. And certainly, I believe that's the role of a wealth advisor, because we have to help you. My job is to help you, help the families that I serve, coordinate all the moving parts of your financial life. So tax tips, back to the focus and the topic of this webinar, tax tips are important. There's probably nothing that will move the needle more in terms of building wealth than paying attention to taxes. And so clearly it's important. And like I said earlier, it's the number one most requested topic in my course on personal finance at the University of Houston. And when I work with clients, it's the number one issue that we work on in financial planning, because when we can take advantage of the tax code, and I don't mean cheat or steal, but I mean just be smart about understanding the tax code and taking advantage of it. I call it tax-advantaged investing. And tax-free investing is